Hey guys, this is Sergeant Phoenix back in the action, and today we are finally on our video special of 20 subscribers. I originally wanted it planned for 50 subscribers, but instead I just chose 20. And these deck profiles will be based on the main characters, the protagonists, or even the antagonists. So, let's say I was asked to do my yusei deck first. When I had a double check on the deck, I realised there were 3 cards that I didn't have. But, you know, those cards aren't really useful. The rest of them, though, that I managed to get easily. All the main signature cards are the most important ones I needed to build this deck. And I mentioned on my last video when I did my ancient gears, I spent me years. Yusei was the first, 5Ds was actually, other than Duel Monsters, the original series that I grew up with as a kid when I first started watching dueling. I was like an early teen. Yeah, I was like an early teen to like 8 years old when I first watched it. So, I watched the Duel Monsters series first. Then I worked my way up to GX and 5Ds. But I got more into 5Ds. But before then, I thought, because I really like Yusei as my character, why not? I want to build his deck so badly. I managed to get some trades. Some of the cards did get damaged though, but they were because in high school when I went, a lot of the people didn't know how rare and powerful and very valuable these cards were. Because, we all just started dueling back then. I watched the series, but I actually never dueled until high school. My friends introduced me to it. So I managed to get the hang of it. My first ever deck was a dark attribute deck. I got really synced with dark attributes then. And mostly also dragon types as well. But now I have the deck. The only cards I'm missing are 2 monsters and a synchro monster, which was a level 4, and it was I don't know what it was called, but it was an arm monster. If you can get the name of that monster, that'd be really handy. It was the arm type what Yusei uses against Greiger. I've only seen him ever use that one card against Greiger when he dueled him. It equips to a monster and it gives that monster attack points, but I think it has another additional effect. So let's start. First we have I've started off with tuners, our effect monsters, and etc, etc. So first we have the original of all tuners, Junk Synchron, and when this card is normal summon, you can target 1 level 2 or lower monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense mode, but its effects are negated. Next we have Nitro Warrior. If this card is sent to the graveyard for a synchro summon of a Nitro Synchro monster, draw 1 card. Hold on. Let me just neat them out. Next we have Turbo Synchron. When this card declares an attack, you can change the attack target to defense position, and when you take battle damage while this card is attacking, you can special summon 1 monster from your hand with attack less than or equal to the damage you took. And this is the story that this is what Yusei used throughout the entire series. Next we have Road Synchron. This card is used for a synchro summon of a monster other than Road Warrior. And this card the Road Warrior was interesting. It's a synchro monster, but in the series it was called, Yusei called it Road Fighter, not Road Warrior. So we don't know what happened there. No one knows really what happened. It could have been it could have been called back then on the series. It might have been called that. Some cards get called different names and then they get changed when they're put in production. Or maybe the character just read it wrong, or maybe preferred it. No one really knows. But I think Road Fighter would have been a better name for it. So if this card's used other than for a synchro summon other than Road Warrior, its level's reduced by 2, so it'll only be a level 2 monster. If this card attacks at the end of the damage step, increase its level by 1 until the end phase. Next we have Quick Draw Synchron, and this is a good one if you're wanting to build a decently powerful synchro deck. Because You can special summon this card from your hand by sending one monster from your hand to the graveyard. For a synchro summon, this card must substitute this card for any synchro tuner monster. Because Yusei's deck is mostly built on certain synchros being used. Nitro Warrior needs Nitro Synchron. Junk Warrior, Road Fighter obviously needs Road Synchron. So, you know, it's specific. So this works for that specific reason. You have to make sure that the card needs a specific tuner monster to do it. Okay. Okay, so any one synchro cannot be used for used as a synchro material except for a synchro summon of a monster that lists the synchro monster as a tuner. So technically you have to make sure your monster's got the tuner monster is required. Otherwise you could just use it as an Xyz. I've seen people use it for Xyz to summon Heart Earth. And Heart Earth, say, level a Mark 5 Xyz monster, which Dr. Faker used in the Zexal season. Next, we have one of the greatest cards that let Yusei unlock his coolest monster, one of his coolest monsters, Majestic Dragon. When this card cannot be used for a synchro material monster except for the synchro summon of a Majestic monster. So, for Yusei, it's Majestic Star Dragon. For Jack Atlas, it was I don't know what his was. I think it was Majestic Red Dragon or Majestic Archfiend Dragon. I literally don't know. It's been a while since I saw that card. Next, we have Debris Dragon. And this card's actually not bad. When this card is normal summon, you can target one monster with 500 or less attack in your graveyard. Special summon that target in attack position, but its effects are negated. Cannot be used as a synchro material, except for a synchro summon of a dragon monster. The other synchro materials cannot be level 4. So you can use this with Stardust Dragon and any other dragons. Sitting down properly, sorry. Next we have Drill Synchron. If a warrior type monster you control attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. Once per turn, when you inflict battle damage to your opponent with this effect, you can draw one card. Next we have Mono Synchron. When using this card as synchro material, the other synchro materials must be level 4, lower warrior or machine type monsters. They are treated as level 1s. Oh yeah, I forgot. I don't know if that card exists as well. It was a wall one that he used as well. That one to summon his Excel Synchro Synchro Tuner monster. I can't remember what that card was like. He first used it against Jacob when they did the World Grand Prix finals. Jacob had his Mech Lord Emperor out on the field. I forgot about that. During your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can send this card in your hand to the graveyard, then target one effect monster your opponent controls. That face-up monster your opponent controls has its effects negated until the end of this turn. Next we have Jet Synchron. If this card is sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can add one junk monster from your deck to your hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you can send one card from your hand to the graveyard, special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use the effect of this monster once per turn, only once that turn. Hold on. Next we have Steam Synchron. During your opponent's main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon using this card you control as a quick. This is a quick effect. So you could do it during your opponent's turn, which is really good. Next, we're up to our monsters. Let me just take the monsters out. And this is literally a 60 card deck. You know, if I added in the other cards, I'd have to get rid of some. But since I couldn't get the other cards, I added in additional ones like some signatures that Yusei had. Which were based on which were used for Stardust. Next, we have not all of our effect monsters. Speed Warrior. Once per battle phase, if this card was normal summoned this turn, except during the damage step, you can make its attack become double its original until the end. So technically, when it's summoned and you get ready to attack, its attack points are doubled for that turn. But only when it's summoned. Next, we have Sonic Chick. This card cannot be destroyed in battle with a monster that has 1900 or more attack. So it has got a... So that is a decent monster. Next we have Shield Warrior. During damage calculation, you can remove this card from play from your graveyard to prevent monsters you control from being destroyed by the battle this turn. By this battle. So practically it can protect your monster. Just double checking if I'm ready. Yeah. Next we have Turbo Booster. And this was a nice card. Reason being, because one of Yusei's friends, I think it was Riley that gave him it. It was his dad's card. Riley said it was his dad's card, but he wanted Yusei to have it for good luck. And he's had it ever since. And it is actually a really good card. Because its effects, if you have normal summon a monster this turn, you can special summon this card from your hand. You contribute this card to destroy one monster your opponent controls that battled once one of your opponent's monsters this turn. So that was used to take on Gregor's a lot of duelists monsters. He has actually used it to save his neck a lot of times. He used it on Gregor against his Flying Fortress Skyfire, and that card was really tough. If you want, I'll see if I can do a deck profile on Gregor and see if I can do some deck profiles on more 5Ds characters if you want. But if we hit another 20 subscribers, I'll do more deck profiles on the main heroes and villains. Next we have Quillbolt Hedgehog. If this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You must control a tuner monster to activate and resolve this effect. So that can work for quick draw synchron. Next we have Max Warrior. If this card attacks an opponent's monster, this card gains 400 attack during the damage step only. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle until the end of the standby phase, this card becomes a level 2 and its attack and defense are halved. So it'll only have 900 and it'll be a level 2. So it is risky though using that card, depending on how you use it. Next we have Fortress Warrior. You take no battle damage from attacks involving this card once per turn. This card cannot be destroyed by battle. And this is what Yusei used. I think this is what, it was what Yusei used against Flying Fortress Skyfire with Turbo Booster. Since he doesn't take damage from it when he attacks it, just use your Turbo Booster's effect, just destroy it. And since it can't be destroyed once per turn, it's practically a good move to make. Next we have Turret Warrior. You contribute one warrior type monster to special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to that attributed monster's original attack. So you could use this on any of your warriors. Yusei used this, I did see Yusei only use this mostly on Speed Warrior when he summoned it. And he also added cards so he could synchro summon with it. Next we have Ghost Gardener. When a face-up monster you control is selected for an attack, target one target, you can change that target to this card. When this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, one face-up monster your opponent controls loses 1000 attack until the end phase. So, that's a decent card. Yusei's deck was a junk deck. It was built on cards nobody want. A lot of junk cards that really weren't around. Based on his based on where he lived and grew up as a childhood, you'd imagine why. If you actually, but if you don't know, watch the 5D season. I love it. It's one of my favourites between that and the original. I've already explained, why, but Next we have Tuning Whir. If this card can be treated as a level 2 monster when used for a synchro summon. When this card is sent to the graveyard for a synchro summon, draw one card. Next we have Shield Wing, and this card's good. Reason being, up to twice per turn, this card cannot be destroyed by battle. So if it would be destroyed by battle, it's not. And that works twice per turn other than once per turn. Next we have Level Eater. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one level 5 or higher monster you control, reduce its level by 1. If you do special summon this card, this face-up card on the field cannot be tributed except for a tribute summon. Yeah, and you could use that again on other monsters. You could use that summon Junk Warrior and whatever. Next, Godlike Warrior. During either player's turn, you can tribute this card. Each warrior type monster you currently control gains 500 attack and defense until the end of the next damage step. That monster attacks, until the end of that monster attacks is attacked. Next we have Rescue Warrior. You take no battle damage from battles involving this card. If this card is destroyed by battle, select one face-up monster your opponent controls that you own and take control of it. Yusei has used this, if you wonder. He used it against Primo when he absorbed his Synchro. And that's Mechlord. I am thinking of doing a deck profile on Mechlord Emperors on Aporia. But I'm still working on that deck. Aporia's deck is not that powerful, but it is still a decently deck. It was known for the 5Ds, Season 2 and 3, as the Synchro Slayers. And practically the reason on Season 2 why Season 1 and everything, the whole plot story began. Sorry, I was having a drink of water. But again, watch 5Ds if you don't know. It's a good story. Practically Season 2 explains how Season 1 happened, how everything began. Even though it does explain a bit on number 1, it explains why it happened, why everything happened the way it did, why, if you wondered, wouldn't you just do that? But there's a certain reason. And it's and I will give you a hint if you haven't. It's from a group named Eliaster. They manipulate everything. That is the only hint I'll give you. Practically everything in the world, they're controlling. Practically, like a lot like the Court of Owls from the Batman season. No one knows who they are, but they practically control everything in Gotham if you've never heard of them. And the Court of Owls were a group of like celebrities and people in power in Gotham. They all began a society for years, and everything in Gotham belongs to them. They did offer Bruce Wayne, Batman, a chance to join the court. I don't know exactly. It was from the comics, though. I don't really read the comics. But I do know about them. They did show them though on Gotham. If you've ever seen Gotham, if not, they show them on the season as well. They explain how they have control and power over Gotham and everything. So anyway, next we have Zero Gardener. You contribute this card to activate its effect. If you do, monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle, and you take no battle damage during the end phase during this turn. The effect can be activated during either player's turn. So this is practically a quick effect. It doesn't say it's a quick effect, but it can be activated on any time. You can activate it on your turn, your opponent's turn, but it has to be like a certain time. Next we have Doppel Warrior. When a monster is special summoned from your graveyard, except during the battle save, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can special summon 2 Doppel tokens, and they have the list of requirements, which is a warrior type, dark attribute, level 1, 400 attack and defense, and they have to be in attack position. So you could use them for synchros as well. Next we have Swift Scarecrow, sorry. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack quick effect, you can discard this card, target the attack, and then end the battle phase. So practically it's almost like you negate attacks and everything, but for a monster. And these are 2 cards that actually most people don't realise is in the deck, but they're only shown in 1 episode. But I wanted to have them because they seemed a lot better than the 2 level 1 monster machines that were there. First we have Mirror Ladybug.
If you control at least one face-up monster and you have no monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. When this card is special summoned this way, this card's level becomes equal to the total levels of all other monsters that you control. But if the total level is 12 or higher than 12, this card's destroyed. And he used this on one of the decks, on one of the duels, and something happened in the whole arena. Practically everything turned into an actual battle royale mode. So literally anything follows. There are no rules. The main rule is don't lose your life points. Practically, otherwise you lose. That's the only rule. The normal dual rules still apply, but practically your opponents could be your teammates as well. Next we have Reed Butterfly. If your opponent controls a face-up synchro monster and you control no face-up synchro monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. And he did have this one as well against, when he did that episode, when that episode was out with those two as well, with Ladybug as well. Next we have Level Warrior. If there are no monsters in the field, you can normal summon this card from your hand as a level 2 monster. If your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand as a level 4 monster. Next we have Big One Warrior. During your main phase, you can send one level 1 monster except this card from your hand to the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand. Next we have Rush Warrior. During damage calculation in either player's turn, if a warrior synchro monster you control battles an opponent's monster, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. Your battling monster's attack points become doubled its current attack during the damage step calculation only. If you can banish this card from your graveyard, then type one synchro monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Synchron monster, in your graveyard, add it to your hand, and you can only activate this effect though once per turn. So you could use. So this deck is actually mostly based on the junk types, as I said. Next we have Sonic Warrior, and if this card is sent to the graveyard, all level 2 or lower monsters that you currently control gain 500 attack points, and that card is good, and I'll show you why when we show the synchro. Next we have Stardust Phantom. When this card you control is destroyed by your opponent's card, either by battle or card effect, and sent to the graveyard, you can select one Stardust Dragon in your graveyard, special summon it in face-up defense position. You can remove from play this card in your graveyard, then select one face-up Dragon-type monster you control. Once per turn, that synchro monster cannot be destroyed by battle, but each time this effect is applied, it loses 800 attack and defense at the end of the damage step. So that is a good defense. I'm just hoping I don't have to do a part 2 of this. I haven't got that many to do, but it's still a big deck. Next we have Cosmic Flare. This was never in the deck, but it felt good to have it since I couldn't get some of the other ones, but this felt nice to have. So Cosmic Flare, target one Stardust synchro monster you control. This turn, if that synchro monster you control battles an opponent's monster, shuffle that opponent's monster into the deck at the start of the battle damage step. If a Stardust synchro monster you control would be tribute itself to activate its effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. Reason being, Stardust and its other Stardust forms have a tributing effect, which can either stop attacks or stop effects. It's a decently powerful effect. Next we have Fighting Spirit. The equipped monster gains 300 attack for each monster your opponent controls. If it would be destroyed by battle, you can destroy this card instead. Next we have Domino Effect. When an opponent's monster your opponent controls is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can send one monster from you control to the graveyard to destroy one monster your opponent controls. Next we have Prevention Star. Equip only to a monster you control if it was changed from face-up attack to face-up defense position. This turn, select one monster your opponent controls. That monster cannot attack or change its battle position. When the equipped monster you control and this card is sent to the graveyard, remove from play. And remove it. So instead of it being destroyed, just remove the monster is removed from play instead. Sorry. Junk Barrage. When the equipped monster destroys an monster by battling and sends it to the graveyard, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half of that destroyed monster's attack points. Tuning. This lets you add a Synchron Tuner monster from your deck to your hand and send the top card from your deck to the graveyard. Next we have Stardust Shimmer. Select one Dragon-type Synchron monster in your graveyard. Remove from play other monsters in your graveyard whose total levels combined equal to the Select one Dragon-type Synchron monster in your graveyard. Remove from play other monsters in your graveyard whose total levels equal the level of the selected monster and special summon it from the graveyard. So you could use that in Stardust as well. Next we have Release Restraint Wave. Target one face-up equipped spell card you control, destroy the equipped spell card, and all face-down spell and trap cards your opponent controls. So if they're using Mirror Force and anything else, that stops it. Next we have Silver Wing. The equip only to a level 8 or high dragon-type synchro monster, up to twice per turn if it would be destroyed by battle, it is not destroyed. If it would be destroyed by card effects, you can destroy this card instead. Next we have Limit Overdrive. And based on that, there's Yusei with his Door Runner, and that's actually his Shooting Quasar Dragon, which is the final dragon of his deck. Return one tuner synchro monster and one non-tuner synchro monster you control to the extra deck. Special summon one synchro monster from the extra deck that has a level equal to the combined levels of the two monsters that had on the field, ignoring its summoning conditions, but you can only activate this once per turn. Shooting Quasar is a level 12. And the reason being you need that card if you want to summon Shooting Quasar Dragon, because it needs because that monster, believe it or not, needs one tuner synchro. Yep, one tuner synchro, and two or more non-tuner synchro monsters. And the deck's not really built for that, so you'd have to make sure you be careful. Next we have Desynchro. Select one face-up synchro monster, return it to its owner's extra deck. Then, if all the monsters that were used for all the synchro summon that are in the graveyard, you can special summon them. So if I want to summon another monster, but that has the same level of another synchro monster I have, I can just send that back and just summon another one, as long as I can. Next we have Synchro Change. Move and play one face-up synchro monster you control. Select special summon one synchro monster from your extra deck, whose level is the same as the remove from player monster. Its effects are negated though. And now I'm up to my trap cards. First we have Graceful Revival. Select one level 2 or lower monster from your graveyard and special summon it in attack position. When this card is removed from play, removed from the field, destroy that monster. When that monster is destroyed, destroy this card. Next we have Scrap Iron Scarecrow, and this card's a basic one. When your opponent's monster declares an attack, activate this, stops the attack, but instead of going to the graveyard, it just goes back down. But you can only activate it once per turn. So instead of going to the graveyard, it just goes back face down. Next we have Defense Draw. Activate only during damage calculation during your opponent's turn. The battle damage you would receive becomes 0, but you end draw 1 card. Reinforced Truth, special summon 1 level 2 or lower warrior type monster from your deck. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this card. Next we have Urgent Tuning, and that's a tuner, and those are usually the two yusei used to summon that synchro. During the battle phase, immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon 1 synchro monster using monsters you control. Next we have Scramble Egg. If a monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect and sends it to the graveyard, you could special summon Sonic Chick from your hand, deck or graveyard. Next we have Zero Force. He used this against Team Ragnarok because of and it helped him out a lot. Activate only when a face-up monster you control is removed from play. The attack of all face-up monsters on your opponent's field becomes 0. Next we have Descending Lost Star. Select 1 synchro monster in your graveyard and special summon it in face-up defense position. Its effects are negated, its level is reduced by 1, and its attack and its defense is 0, and its battle position cannot be changed. Next we have Stardust Flash. Tribute target 1 Stardust monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Shooting Star. If a Stardust monster is on the field, target 1 card on the field, destroy that card. Next we have Starlight Road. When a card or card effect is activated that would destroy 2 or more cards you control, negate the effect, and if you do, destroy that card, then special summon 1 Stardust Dragon from your extra deck. Next we have a card that practically gave you is Stardust Dragon, nearly over 23,000 attack points. If you have 5 or more dragon-type synchro monsters with different names in your graveyard, special summon 1 Stardust Dragon from your extra deck. This is treated as a synchro summon, but banish it during the end phase. Equip it with this card. While equipped, it gains attack equal to the combined attack of all dragon-type synchro monsters in your graveyard. Also, while equipped, when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can banish 1 dragon-type synchro monster from your graveyard. It can attack your opponent monster again in a row. But you'd need the certain dragons, and that's where you need all the signers dragons, really. Next, we have his entire synchro deck. Well, not his entire synchro deck, but you get the picture. Hold on, I'm just gonna sort it out. Just forgot to sort it out properly. First, we have Junk Warrior. It needs Junk Synchron for it. If this card is synchro summoned, it gains the attack equal to the total of all level 2 or lower monsters you currently control. Junk Gardener, which needs Junk Synchron. Once per turn, you can select 1 monster your opponent controls and change it to its battle position. This effect can be activated during either player's turn. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, select 1 monster your opponent controls, change its battle position. Turbo Warrior. This needs Turbo Synchron. When this card declares an attack on a level 6 or higher monster, and it has to be a synchro monster, half the attack of the attack target until the end of the damage step. This card cannot be targeted for the effects of a level 6 or lower monster. Next we have Drill Warrior, which needs Drill Synchron. Once per turn during your main phase, you can half this card's attack permanently, and if you do, it can attack your opponent directly this turn. Once per turn during your main phase, you can discard 1 card and remove this card from play. During your next standby phase, special summon this card. If removed by this effect, then add 1 monster from your graveyard to your hand. And I think I'm gonna have to do a part 2, but it'll only be like 5 minutes just to fill in the gap, just to finish this in case. Next we have Junk Archer. Junk card, and this needs Junk Synchron. Once per turn, you can select one monster your opponent controls, move that monster from player during the end phase of this turn. It returns to your opponent's side of the field during the field in the same battle position. Next we have Nitro Warrior, which needs Nitro Synchron. Once during each of your turns, if you activate a spell card, if this card gains 1,000 attack during the next attacks of this card's involved. This card during damage calculation only. If this card attacking card destroys an opponent's monster by battle after damage calculation, you can target one face defense position monster your opponent controls, change it to attack position, then this card can declare attack again in a row on that monster. Next we have Junk Destroyer. This needs Junk Synchron. When this card is synchro summoned, you can target cards on the field up to the number of non-tuner monsters used for a synchro summon of this card. Destroy those targets. Next we have Road Warrior, aka Road Fighter. This needs Road Synchron. Once per turn, you can special summon one level 2 or lower warrior or a machine type monster from your deck. Next we have Jet Synchron. And this needs Jet Synchron. Jet Warrior, and this needs Jet Synchron. If this card is synchro summoned, you can target one monster card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you contribute one level to a lower monster, special summon this card in defense position, but banish it when it leaves the field. In this card in defense position, you can only activate this effect though once per turn. Next we have Formula Synchron. This is the synchro tuner, helps you say excel synchro, as we say. When this card is synchro summoned, you can draw one card. Once per turn during your opponent's main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves, special summon using synchro summon using this card you control as a quick effect. So you can activate it during any time. Next we have the signature Stardust Dragon. One tuner, and it only needs one tuner and one or more monsters. During either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated that would destroy a card or cards on the field, you contribute this card and negate the activation. If you do destroy it during the end phase, if this card was sent to the graveyard due to that effect, you can special summon it from your graveyard. Next we have Majestic Dragon, and these two actually need Stardust Dragon and certain ones. This needs Majestic Dragon, and this card's effect, you contribute this card to negate the activation of an opponent's spell card, trap card, or effect monster, or effect monster's effect, and destroy all cards your opponent controls once per turn during you can negate the effect of one face-up monster your opponent controls until the end phase. Also, if the negated effect can be activated, you can negate it once as this card's effect. During end phase, return this card to the extra deck, then special summon one Stardust Dragon from your graveyard. It's a mouthful, that card. This card is like a good one, but this was one of the damaged ones. And this needs the Tuner Synchro and Stardust Dragon. Each of these cards can be activated once per turn. Reveal the top cards in your deck, shuffle them back in, and if this card's maximum number of attacks equal to the number of tuner monsters you get. So if I drew 5 tuners due to this card's effect, if I looked at them, then it can have 5 attacks. Negate the other effect. Negate the activation of an effect that would destroy a card on the field or destroy that card. When your opponent monster declares an attack, you can select it, then remove this card from play and negate the attack during the end phase. Special summon this card when it's removed from play. Oh, I guess we can have enough time. Next we have Shooting Quasar Dragon. This is a really good card. Like I said, 1 tuner synchro and 2 odd tuner synchro monsters. Must be synchro summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card's maximum number of attacks per battle phase equal to the number of non-tuner monsters used as a synchro material once per turn during either player's turn. If this card or effect is activated, you can negate the activation, and if you destroy it. When this card leaves the field, you can special summon one Shooting Star Dragon from your extra deck. And that's it. I thought I'd run out of time though, and I'd have to do a part 2, but I guess I don't. So that's it. That is Yusei Fudo's entire deck. Well, not his entire deck, but you get the picture of what his deck is. There is a tin out. I do know there is a tin out, and he has a new Link card. I think it's called Junk Collector. And I am going to get that card, that tin as best as I can, you know, as fast as I can, really. And, you know, if there are any other decks that you want me to do, like some ideas, some new things, like even the new cards that are out, or some of the old ones that are still out, but people still use, comment down below. Let's get some more, see if we can get some more likes, and if we get, sorry, got a bit of a burp going on there. And if we can subscribe a bit more to it, either 40, 60, 80, 100, we'll do more deck profiles on our characters. So comment down below. So if you want to comment down below on what your next deck profile wants to be, and who I should do next for my next deck profile for my specials. So until then, this is Sergeant Phoenix, over and out, and thanking everyone for 20 subscribers, and hopefully we'll see 20 more soon enough.